Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. A new week of jumps action in the main. We've got a couple of races from Lingfield as well, which has been a bit of a head wreck for most of us. But fear not, we'll find the winner of both those races, I'm sure. Dan Overall, Dan Hussey and Charlie Poste join us. Just a heads up for our recording next week. That's Wednesday. That's our first Cheltenham pod. It's an anti-post preview with a load of Cheltenham experts in to look ahead to effectively the best 4 days in racing. Let me remind you about the like button and subscribing for free, because that's how you keep up to date with all the latest podcasts from Matchbook. That's across all sports. Head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of our best bets as well. The Ollie Murphy podcast is going to be out Friday morning. Dan Hussey, who is down there, I think, as I look at it, he'll be recording that with Ollie tomorrow morning. And there's more Cheltenham trends up there with Matt Toombs, articles, podcasts. He is our regular Cheltenham expert. He'll be in next week on Wednesday for the podcast. And there's plenty for you to have a look at as far as Matt's content goes. And it is unique, it's original, and it's well worth keeping up to date with. Before we get into the previews, a reminder, which has come good, particularly with Mihal DC's selection a couple of weeks ago at massive prices. The sign-up offer is double the odds on the podcast best bet. So DC a couple of weeks ago put up his podcast best bet. It was a chunky price and it copped. So that's double the odds on the podcast best bets. It means a 6.0 shot effectively comes in as a 11.0 shot.
Yes.
Enter even though on the document, Dan, it says differently. But that's how it works, right, Dan? That's how it works. Yeah?
Yeah, it was some way to figure that out, watching you guys do the maths on it, and I was like, 12.0, lads, come on, move on. Yeah, it is 11.0.
Yes. I mean, I got it wrong first week as well, but you need to enter the bonus code podcast when signing up. You get extra winnings up to £50 in cash. That's on all of our best bets. I'll remind you when we get to the best bets. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus as ever. Be gamble aware. We're going to get stuck straight into the previews then. First up, we're going to go to Kempton Park. We've got 4 races from Kempton to preview for you. And the first of them is the Adonis, Scriptwriter 3.0, Nusret 5.0, Rare Middleton 5.0, Perseus Way 8.5. Bigger prices, the rest. Come in, Dan Overall.
Yeah, and I think we rarely agree on this show, I think, Tom, but I think we actually do this time. And I'm very much in favour of Scriptwriter here. I think I was very keen on Comfort Zone when he won at Cheltenham last time. They were very close, to be fair. Like, that could have gone either way, realistically speaking. And I remember fondly, I went to the winners' enclosure to clap in Comfort Zone. It was the best bet on this podcast, let me just remind everyone. But I remember seeing distinctly Milton Harris looked absolutely distraught that Scriptwriter got beat. And I think, Tom, you went up to him, and he was not best pleased, shall we just say that.
My best bet was, do you remember what my best bet was?
I can't. Go on, hit me.
It was Scriptwriter, or it was my other
Beautiful.
Bet.
Oh, that makes it even better.
We went head to head in the race, and I thought, here he comes. And your horse battled on a bit. So what Milton said was that he said he can't hit the front too soon. And he said, we'll take that horse on in March and we'll finish ahead of it. But fair enough. But he's running again. Yeah, go on. I'll let you finish up your case, and then I'll add on some pointless bits afterwards.
Well, I think that was a good performance, to be fair. I mean, I think that could have gone either way, realistically speaking. And I think they're very evenly matched. But I think by some distance, he's the best British juvenile we've seen. I think anything really is come close to him. And I can definitely see a reality where he runs respectively in the Triumph. I don't think he'll get anywhere near the Willie Mullins trio. But this is a far more winnable race. So I love the way they both pulled clear the last day at Cheltenham. Obviously, on a line through the likes of through Comfort Zone, Nurser is a threat to Scriptwriter. But I just feel that Scriptwriter still has a bit more to come. Obviously, I know the stuff about him hitting the front too soon has been talked about. I'm not sure how much credence there is to that, but I do like him a lot. He travels very well. He jumps well. And I think this is just kind of the race he's very much up to winning. And I'm not really too worried about him defying a penalty. And given that Milton Harris won this last year with a horse in Night Salute, who apparently Scriptwriter is fairly much better than, I think he'll take some beating here.
Yeah. Well, Night Salute managed to win that Cheltenham race, didn't he? The only thing I'll add, which I wouldn't say on TV, but I feel I can say it to a smaller audience on a podcast, was I said to Milton off air, I was like, well, did the saddle slip? And he just went, no, that's just Paddy. And then he went, to be fair, it was quite tiny for him. It's like, Perfectly brutal. I do. He travelled like the winner, and he bumped into a good horse. He bumped into a Grade 2 winner, didn't he? Who was battle hardened. So yeah, I'm surprised he's as big as he is. 2.0. I thought he'd been near even money. There you are. 3.0. Thought he'd been near 2.0. Right, Dan Hussey, come in.
Yeah, like I agree with a lot what you guys said, and I came into the race wanting to back Scriptwriter, if that makes sense, because I've always been a fan of the horse, even the way he went on the flat and won there as well. But the more I looked at the race, I kind of came down on Rare Middleton for Paul Nicholls. This horse won 11% maiden on the flat before joining the Nicholls stable, and look, he was 2-5, so what's that, 1.4 for Matchbook when he won the maiden hurdle in Taunton versus older horses. And look, it was just the comments from Paul Nicholls after the race. He's had the horse, I think, 6 weeks, so he normally wouldn't run the horse with that length of time in the yard, but he gave him a go. He said he's going to prove a ton, and even then he mentioned the Adonis. So look, he also touched on the ground, so it was soft ground, and Taunton's going to be better ground on Saturdays. And I just thought at the prices he's in around, what price did you say he was, Tom? He's around 4.5, 5.0. I just thought he was a tad overpriced against Scriptwriter, who I think is definitely the most likely winner and most solid in the race. But I just thought at a price, Rare Middleton could give him a run for his money.
And Charlie, who do you fancy?
Yeah, I've gone down with Persis Way for Gary and Jamie Moore. You know, as in, again, he wasn't beat far by Scriptwriter on Hurdle's debut at Cheltenham, and he sort of galloped through most of the flights and seemed very much like a horse as a work in progress. Ran well behind Comfort Zone at Chepstow, and then won nicely at Huntingdon the other day. And I think he jumped better as well there, maybe for the first time. And again, it's just a price-related thing. I think he gets £2 off Scriptwriter on Saturday, and he wasn't beat over far by him at Cheltenham on Hurdle's debut. I think he's also improving with experience, and I thought 7.0 was too big in this sort of race. And for all that I agree with you guys at Scriptwriter, I just thought at treble the price, I'm going to come down with Persis Way.
Okay, a couple of shouts for Scriptwriter, Rare Middleton and Perseus Way going up in the Kempton opener. We'll keep going with Kempton, then we'll do the Ida, and then we'll come back to 5 furlongs at Lingfield. On we go then with Kempton Park. So this is the 225. It's the Pendle Novices Chase. Prices as follows: with Boot Hill 2.75. That's all right, Gino 4.33. Solo 4.5. Tweed Skirt 6.5. JJ Riley 15.0. I'm a massive Boot Hill fan, Dan, overall, and I was all out to put him up, and then I don't know, in the end I went elsewhere. But what do you like about the favourite?
Well, it's weird. I was almost the other way around. Like, I came into this race thinking I wanted to take him on, but the more I looked through it, I just didn't think anything was maybe up to actually challenging him. He's clearly achieved the most of these. I know he's got a conceded penalty as a result of that, but there's plenty of upside to him still, I think, over this trip. Obviously, he's been over 2 miles pretty much exclusively over his chasing career, but has run over 2.5 and nearly 3 miles over hurdles. You look at his pedigrees, he's by presenting out of a half. There's a couple of 3 mile plus winners. So that would bode encouragement that for him having no problem over this 2.5. And I think Kempton 2.5, good ground. I think that might be about ideal for him at this stage. Like, he was a strong stayer when he beat Auckland Risk over 2 miles here a few months ago. He didn't exactly look short of stamina in certain instances previously. I just think in a fairly weakish 2 mile novice chase division, he's been able to do pretty well over that trip. But I think stepping up will probably unlock a bit more improvement in him. The strength of his form, I think, is above and beyond a few of these. And while I respect the likes of Solo, given obviously Paul Nicholls' extraordinary record in this race, That's All Right Gino, I think, has got a race in him, probably a handicap maybe in time. I just think Boot Hill's got a lot going for him, and he's achieved the most. And I think he's a reasonable enough price as well at 2.75 in a fairly small field.
Okay, Charlie?
I mean, I agree with all of that completely. And I think Boot Hill is the most likely the winner. And I don't think he lost that much behind Tommy's Oscar the last at Doncaster. But I kind of felt like Solo, they'd been beaten handicaps. That's All Right Gino, a bit the same. And again, much as this filly got beat last time, Tweed Skirt behind Jeremy's Flame at Huntingdon, she was just inclined to over race again. And it does seem to be a slight habit about her. But, you know, she's rated 136. I think she's getting £12 off Boot Hill, which at the weights brings them pretty close together. And again, she's sort of 7.0. So, you know, she's a good deal bigger. And I just couldn't really bring myself to back Boot Hill at 2.0 or 2.5. And I wanted something at a bit more juicy odds. And And again, like Dan overall said, I think when you go through it, there's not a huge amount of opposition really credible. But I think this filly does have more improvement in her, and potentially, I do think she's a black type horse, and at 6.0, it's a chance I'm willing to take in a small field with question marks over a few.
Yeah, I'm there again on the official ratings. I thought it was a bit too much in the prices between Tweed Skirt and Boot Hill. She was so impressive at Kempton when, admittedly, a lot of horses were winning quite. Some horses were handling conditions that day, and some weren't. Some were they finished quite strung out. I think it was quite holding on the day, and then she went on to win Canton and won nicely. And then that was really disappointing last time. So, you know, a horse like Boot Hill in some ways might just help her, just kicking on with things and meaning that she settles. But for all she couldn't muster it against her own sex last time, I thought, given that she was getting a bit away, I think she's definitely better than she showed last time. I was taken with the course distance win. I'll chance her at the prices. And Dan Hussey.
Yeah, so I've landed on Solo for this one, and I got down a rabbit hole of rewatching the old Triumph Hurdle, the Goshen's Triumph Hurdle, which we touched on in the podcast. For listeners that didn't know, I had Goshen backed in November after he won, I think, at Fontwell at 25-1 for the Triumph Hurdle. So I was in the beautiful member spot that Dan knows, in that stand, right in line with the final hurdle when he unseated the rider. So it was a lot to. I
At
thought
least
I
you
was
got
over
over it, mate.
Yeah, I did. I was over it until I watched it back this morning.
He was over it too, to be fair. He was, and then he was about 3 strides over it, wasn't he? Bless him.
Yeah. Anyway, so
you would have won then. You'd have won a good bit then.
Yeah, decent amount. I'll tell you the state.
We shouldn't dwell on it. Sorry.
No, we shouldn't dwell on it. Yeah, but the point I was getting at, Solo went off 5.0 shot in that Triumph, which I found amazing, to be honest with you, and just finished behind a Wave of the Sea, who was obviously a Leopardstown expert. So interesting, some decent horses that came out of that Triumph, albeit it wasn't the strongest in the world, although All Mankind was there. But yeah, this is a horse that's taken a while to get going, I guess, post the Triumph Hurdle. But I just think I've been impressed with it over the last couple of starts. I just think he's getting better over fences. He's got form behind Thunder Rock and Balco Coastal. That form's obviously behind Jerry Colomb in the Scilly Isles. I think that is pretty good form. I know he was well beaten on both times, but I just think they'll have freshen him up from Christmas. He likes the track. He's also getting £5 off the favourite here as well, and I don't think that should be forgotten. So while I do like Boot Hill as a horse, and I think he is probably, again, the most likely winner, you're getting a decent enough price if you want to play winner place or just win on Solo here. So I think I'm going to take a bit of a chance on him.
Solo 4.5. The Coral Trophy is next up. Premier Handicap 3 o'clock. Ansam is 6.0 last time out winner here. Cap du Nord also last time out winner. Christian Williams back amongst the winner 6.0. St Calvados 6.5. Our Power 9.0. Then we're into the double figures. Any agreement here? No, there's a couple with Killer Clown. Dan Hussey, you can come in because you want to stick 2 up.
Yeah, I'll let Charlie make the case for Killer Clown, but I saw a great tweet about course and distance form. This is like, for anyone who loves course and distance form, this race in particular is brilliant because there's so many of these horses that love the track. So yeah, Killer Clown was one I came down at price. I'll let Charlie make the case, but I couldn't really get away from Frodon here. Like, obviously he's getting on a bit. But I don't think his performances when he's on a going day are all that below his best. And his Kempton form's incredible. Obviously, like, he was well beat in the last 2 runnings of the King George. He was still 3rd last Christmas, and then 4th the year before, and won his 3 previous starts in Kempton. So I just think if Brian can get him in a bit of a rhythm, it doesn't necessarily he has to be up front, up near the front. It doesn't necessarily. He can take a bit of a lead as long as he's getting in a decent jumping rhythm, which I think he does around Kempton. And I just think coming into the turn with those 3 fences to go, I think he'll still be there. And look, there probably are better handicap horses in the race, but I don't know if there's a solid a horse as Frodon at the course and distance. So I'm going to decide with him, and I'll let Charlie make the case for Killer Clown. But again, course and distance form, he stands out as well.
Go on then, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, that was really like, as in, I just thought it was a race that was quite trappy, you know, especially with the ones that were shorter in the market. And I was going through it looking for an angle, and Killer Clown, like Dan Hussey has said, with the course form, he is basically, I think he's unbeaten around the track. He won there last year off 140. He's only £5 higher now. He disappointed a bit at Newbury in November, but he loves good ground, and he's obviously been freshened up and kept ready for a lucrative spring campaign. And again, I think as well, it's maybe on his second time over 3 mile, which again I don't see as a negative. I think as he's getting older, there's every potential that he'll stay this bit further. And I thought at 17 or 18.0, he was well worth a strong interest for me in this sort of race.
And last thing, just on Killer Clown, Tom, Emma Lavelle has said exactly what Charlie's been saying in terms of the course, loves it around Kempton. They kind of went for the top and didn't quite work. And I'd say this has been a target from a long way out, to be fair. So definitely think it's worth taking a punt at a decent price.
Okay, yeah, he's a fair old price, isn't he? Likes it here. Dan?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we all kind of looked for something at a decent price here. I guess initially what I will say is that the pace angles here, which touches on Frodon, obviously he would be one of them. But Ansam, who got a pretty easy time of it out in front last time out, his favourite for this, I couldn't really touch him at that price, given he's got the likes of Frodon, Bob Hope or No Hope, Killer Kane. There's a few others that all like to make the runner here. So I imagine it's going to be a pretty strong pace. So that's always something to bear in mind. And that kind of brought me to Phlegmatic, who's normally ridden pretty cold. Like, he's a pretty strong stayer, and he was an upwardly mobile sort last season. It just hasn't really happened for him this term. Like, it was an encouraging return over 2.5 at Ascot. He was staying on at the end that day. Again, ridden quite patiently. Disappointing the next 2 times. Kempton over Christmas was poor, but softer ground than he would have liked. Then at Sandown on his last start, he's just never really liked Sandown. You go for his form, he's disappointed all 3 times he's been there. So I'm willing to forgive him those runs. And he looked last season, this is the kind of time of year he came alive. Quicker ground, Kempton specialist. He's 2 wins around this time last year, came at the track. And it's interesting as well that the cheek pieces are on for the first time. Now, Dan Skelton's record with first-time cheek pieces in general is very good, but you look recently, since November, it's 12 runners in first-time cheek pieces, 5 winners, and a further 2 placed. And a few of them have been at decent prices. So it's clearly something that's being used to spark up these horses who may not be performing as they would hope. And I think he certainly is that. He's going to get the pace to aim at. I think he's been quite well backed in the few hours since I looked at him earlier. I think he was like 17.0 earlier. I think he's shortening into about 11.0, 13.0. But I can definitely see a scenario where he's coming in from off the pace and one of the real fast closers towards the end. So at a decent price, he was where I sided.
Okay, there's a nice chat going on between Giles and Peter in the comments section, talking about the ultimate at Cheltenham. It just sums up Cheltenham, really.
Love it.
I know it relates to Frodon, but it's just, that's perfect, isn't it? Talking about where he's going to run at Cheltenham in the ultimate chase. Don't forget our handicap preview will be on Wednesday the 8th. Got that right, Dan Hussey, haven't I?
Wrong. Thursday, March the 9th. So
yeah,
I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out.
That's all right. Yeah. I'm sure what you really want when you're doing the edit is for it to be one smooth thing with no problems.
Yeah, which again, in fairness, most of the podcasts, at least the football and NFL podcasts, seem to go through without a hitch. It always seems to be the horse racing podcast.
Good.
I don't know what the difference is there.
Touche.
Shout out, Dan Overall will be Cheltenham Handicaps special. And when I asked Dan to be, he said that is right up my street. So
yeah,
one to tune in for sure.
And Charlie's on this one and on next week's Cheltenham special. So there you go.
Yes, yeah. Busy man, Charlie.
Doubling up.
That's my fault now. I muted him. No, I muted him because he's making too much noise when he was moving set there.
I was trying to move, as in I looked like some sort of ridiculous villain there. There was like shadows being cast all over the. Because I had to set this up so quickly because my laptop wouldn't work, and then I put it where I was near a socket because the iPad didn't have much charge on it, and then next thing the sun was going down through the window, and I thought you'd be watching on, Dan Hussey, going, Jesus Christ, what is this idiot doing? Because you could hardly see me.
You were having a rave 1 minute, like it was constant flashing, and then the next I looked, it looked like you were like Emperor Palpatine, like in the shadows. Yeah. It was great. I think go back to that. Great.
I'm too busy making cases for horses, Charlie, to worry about you. But yeah,
I'm glad that makes me feel better, mate. As long as you're not bothered, I'm fine. Yeah.
You should probably edit all this bit out, really, Dan.
I should, yeah. Just answer Peter's question. So it's Wednesday, the 1st of March. That hasn't changed, but the Cheltenham Handicap Special will be the Thursday, where I think we'll have 5-day decks for the Tuesday and Wednesday. So with Matt Toombs. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. I've completely forgotten who's tipped on this race. Oh,
I think
haven't.
we were, but you.
Oh, I have.
There you go.
Oh no, I haven't. I'm putting up St. Calvin. Oh no, Dan hasn't either. Oh no, you. Oh, God.
Yeah.
We are consummate pros, aren't we? We really are.
I'm putting up St. Calvados. I can't remember if I've made the case, but the reason I'm putting up St. Calvados is because ever since he ran in that farce of a race at Ascot, I thought, I wonder if they'll drop him for this shit show of a race. And they did, £4. And I thought, right, we've got to back him for a handicap. He then ran in the Silviniaco Conti, yes, and was dropped another 3. He's just got to be a bet back in a handicap. I thought he might be a bit bigger because he's not exactly in form. But Harry Cobden who was on board for his last win, he wants this sort of ground. He's 154. He's got to be a bet, but I thought he might be a bit bigger. There you go. Dan, overall, have you made a case?
I did indeed. Yep.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I know. Really honestly, good. Like I could tell you were hanging on every word, Tom.
I was. Yeah. So I'd edit this bit out, Dan. Right. Let's move on to the Dovecote. Prices as follows: Hansard 2.75, Roubaud 4.0, Imperial Bead 7.0, Ukentango 7.0, Mullenbeg 15. Bigger prices the final pair. I don't know. I've got a very, very tepid opinion that Hansard is just about a bet here, mainly because I've gone right off Roubaud after that performance last time. I know it was fast ground at Newbury. It was technically nigh on firm, wasn't it? But I really fancied him. I thought he'd settle better in a handicap. I know the pace held up well, but they went hard enough. I don't know. Hansard, I think, should be too good for them, and mainly I wanted to be against Roubaud. Charlie Poste.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I found this a really lukewarm race personally. I can see Hansard is very solid, much as again he's got to step up. I just came down with Roubaud because he's obviously ultimately been very progressive before that disappointing run at Newbury. But again, I'm taking in the fact the ground was very quick. He was still very keen, and he has got the application of a hood today, which if that can on Saturday, if that can help him switch off and race a bit more evenly, find a bit more sort of rhythm and conserve some finishing effort, I do just think he's also enough latent ability to take this out. And like I say, I thought there were question marks over plenty of them, bar the favourite. So I came down with him, but it's a very much tentative choice for me, and it's a race that I probably won't be getting involved in.
Fair enough. And Dan, overall?
Yeah, I agree with what a lot of Charlie said there in terms of the race probably not inspiring all that much. It's a fairly lukewarm affair, as he said. I think I looked at this tactically, and you look back at the last 6 or 7 winners of this, pretty much all of them were prominent or made all in this. Like, again, on quick ground, Kempton, that tends to be the winning tactics. And I hope they revert to those kind of tactics on Ukentango, who I just thought price-wise was probably a bit too big relative to the others at the head of the market. And that's probably influenced by the fact he pulled up last time out in the Tolworth. But ultimately, Sandown, testing ground, Kempton, quick ground are extremely contrasting situations. And this is a horse that Ollie said all along wants quicker ground. He's going to get that here. And his form prior to that puts him right up there in terms of what he's achieved. Like his win at Wetherby under a penalty. The second has won twice since, is rate 126. The third's rated 120. And he's probably going to be favourite for the handicap that follows this race, actually, Don Hollow. And then the fourth one, his next 2 starts, is rated 122, and he gave him all penalty. So that was a good run. And then he was second to Cheltenham to Fenacross, who's probably going to run in Supreme. The third then was Springwell Bay, who ultimately we know improved a step up in trip last time out, but is a good horse in his own right. But that kind of form puts Ukentango right up there. I think a return to positive tactics on better ground is certainly going to suit him. And if they do ride him positively and he's over that Sandown exertion, on form, he doesn't really have anything to find at all. So I just thought he was a bit too big at 7.0.
And Dan Hussey, you agree, plus another?
Yeah, completely agree. I just think you completely put a line through last time out against Tomorrow's soft ground, went off a 41.0 in the end. I just think good ground really will suit Ukentango. It's a Ukentango, isn't it? Yeah, Ukentango.
Yeah.
I pronounced it this morning, but it is Ukentango. And just one that I said I'd put up. Cave Legend for Chris Gordon. Obviously the trainer has been in great form, like 7 winners from 18 in the last 14 days and 39% strike rate. And this is a horse that started in bumpers this season, and they tried him in Taunton in a maiden hurdle and just before Christmas, didn't run well, freshened him up a bit, and I thought he was pretty impressive last time against a well-back Gary Moore horse. So at a decent price, you're getting double figures. I just think he could be a dangerous one here, Cape Legends. So they're the two I'm putting up.
All right, that's the Dovecote, and that is Kempton done and dusted. So 4 mile 2 just shy of the Ida next, and Kitty's Light is at the top of the betting. Unsurprisingly, I guess back up a jump off the run last time. Kitty's Light 3.5, Sam's Adventure 7.5, 9.0 the Galloping Bear, Bavington Bob is 9.0, 10 for Eva's Oscar, and slightly bigger prices thereafter, going down a good bit to fair old prices, including my selection, which we'll come to. First of all, I'm interested in the Kitty's Light case. Charlie, you can lead us off, just because I don't know, he hasn't won for nearly 2 years.
I know, but he's trained by Christian Williams, and as in, I just
Correct.
And I just went through and through the race, and I agree with you completely. But I thought, Jack Tudor is going up there to ride him. He could obviously be on a strongly fancied horse at Kenton. I think he was second or place in the Scottish National behind Win My Wings, off a mark in the high 140s or mid 140s. He's off 132 today. You're always guessing, aren't you, with these sort of horses? But I just thought that he's just dangerously well handicapped. You'd imagine, looking at Christian's Yard as a whole, it's all been about getting these horses ready for spring targets. And I just, like I say, I just thought he was very, very dangerous. And I was kind of lukewarm on plenty of the others. And I was trying to find something at value, but I just kept coming back to him and the thought that maybe this has been a plan a long time in the making. And there's no real finer man for that than Christian Williams. And much as he had a cold season, we saw last weekend that it's starting to come to the boil, and it wouldn't surprise you if he goes and has an incredibly productive spring.
And Dan Hussey, you agree? Would you, because I'm going to bring this up later on, do you think he'll trade at a bigger price in the run or not?
I saw that. Yeah, you're potentially looking to back in the run. Possibly. Look, I just echo what Charlie was going to say regarding, look, you're kind of relying on how long has this been the plan, and can Christian Williams lay one out for the race? But he always seems to run well when he's laid out for a race, Kitty's Light, and I just thought he's the most likely winner. And like Charlie, I kind of went through the card back and forth, and I can just see, it's one of those races where you can just see Kitty's Light winning and winning well. So I just thought he was the most likely winner, and I'm happy to take the chance. But look, we probably might potentially trade bigger in the run. I know you're going to make that case, Tom, but I'm happy to stick with Kitty's Light here.
Okay, yeah, I'll come to that just to flesh out that section a little bit. Dan, overall.
Yeah, I am surprised how much of the market he's taking up. Like, he is, 3.5 for an Ida. That's very short, and fully appreciate target trainer Christian Williams. He's well handicapped on what we know he's capable of. But again, for a horse, like you said, Tom, hasn't won in 2 years. I just thought that was on the short side. So it encouraged me to look down the list. And the one I kept coming back to actually was Shanty Alley, who I just thought was way overpriced relative to some of these at 26.0. He was only 10 to 1 the other day, or 11.0. Sorry, Dan. I know you get very hot on that. But he was 11.0 for the Sky Bet Chase last time out. And that was, in my opinion, a much deeper race in terms of overall quality. Free was coming in the back of it on a roll. Garlaw was in there. Like, it was a quality-wise better than this race, which is, considering it's an Ida, like, it's a fairly few exposed types really taking this market up. But before that pre-poor run in the Sky Bet Chase, where he made a bad mistake early and never really got in a rhythm otherwise, so I'm kind of prepared to forgive him that. Before that, he was very progressive still. Second at Wetherby after a wind-up. The front two were well clear. Second in the Mandarin at Newbury under a positive ride in real stamina-sapping conditions. Like, that was a performance of a horse who would really appreciate a real test of stamina like he's going to get here. He's still £4 below his career high mark, which when he ran off that on his only chance, he was only beaten 2 lengths at Uttoxeter last spring. I think if the ground is on the quick side, he'll be one of the ones who handles that better than most. Like, he is proven on soft, but good ground does seem to have him at best effect. And for those who like stats around weight and age, I think it's interesting that the last 5 winners and 6 of the last 7 were 9-year-olds. He's a 9-year-old. And 6 of the last 8 winners of this has carried 11 stone or 1 pound either side. And he's bang on 11 stone. So he fits those trends if that's your type. And again, at 26.0, I just thought it was a ludicrous price, to be honest.
Okay, and I'm making a case for one at a price as well. Rathanure is 21.0, who is a good bit lower than when 6th in this race last year. All right, beaten 22 lengths, but that was off 131. He rocks up here off 118 in a win last time. And that was on heavy ground, I know, in an amateur jockey's race. But Rose Dobbin's been in pretty good nick this year. And at the prices, win and place, I can definitely see him going a couple of places better than last time. Certainly off the best part of a stone, lower in the handicap. And there were a few at bigger prices I could buy. I was half tempted by Mighty Thunder at a massive price. Claimers have done quite well in this race, and Lucinda Russell's banging form, but then the horse isn't. So anyway, I came down on Rathanure, win and place, but as I'll suggest later, I thought I might put in an ask for Kitty's Light at a bigger price in the run. All right, we're dropping back to 5 furlongs. This is overall territory. He loves it.
Oh,
You love it in the sprint, don't you?
I can't believe you
absolutely.
went with a selection, Dan. I hope you didn't feel under pressure to go for a selection, Dan.
No, I thought I'd give it a go. Like it's.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see. Like I've surprisingly, I've been to Lingfield a few times and actually done all right at the track. So you never know. I might be in the wrong game completely. I guess we'll find out.
Over jumps or not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, on the flat, Charlie. I swear. Like I've been to some weather meetings in the past. I don't know what was wrong with me, but it's happened.
Well,
believe it or not.
Let's hope this trip to Lingfield results in one night stand winning.
Yeah.
He's good, isn't he? He's good.
Out, Dan. Yeah, no, it's again. I thought, considering my overall lack of knowledge, I would just go for a punt at a big price here. And to be fair, the more I looked at it, the more I actually fancied him, which is probably a bit of a concern, really. But he won the race last year. That time he faced 4 rivals rated in the hundreds. I think there's 5 rated in the hundreds here. So he does have to put in probably a career best effort, but he did that probably last season as well, to be fair to him. It would be a slight concern that he didn't beat a rival on his reappearance last time out. But you look back through previous seasons, he's shown remarkable improvement on his second start after a break. 2 seasons ago, he was 16th of 18th on his return. He won next time out. Last season, he was 10th of 13 and then won next time out at Lingfield under his regular rider, Kieran O'Neill. And again, in this example, Kieran O'Neill gets back on board after not being on board last time out. He's 3 from 8 at Lingfield. And it's not really too surprising, given he's a front runner. Front runners at Lingfield do notoriously well. He's probably drawn a bit wider than ideal, but he normally breaks pretty smartly. So if he can get out in front, or at least be handy, I think he's more than capable of outrunning his price of like 21.0. And given the way he's only just come back, it's probably been the case that this has been the target for a long time.
Tell you what, that I'm sold. This just can't.
I was going to say that was brilliant.
There you go. See, just thought I was going to come up here and chat absolute rubbish like usual, but sometimes I do surprise.
Dan Hussey, you haven't got a bet. Charlie, you and I are with Tone the Barone off the back of the wall success. Go on. He likes it here. He's potentially the fastest horse in the race, and Stuart Williams will have been targeting with this.
Completely agree. I mean, and like you go through it, like Alligator Alley was very much on the upgrade for David O'Mara. Got turned over last time. Can be a very keen goer. Miss Nay Never, I thought, was progressive, but drawn very, very wide. Whether she can dominate from there. Arecibo, I mean, crikey, if you think that he's going to win, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, if it's been a long time for Kitty's Light, I don't know how long it's been for Arecibo. I mean, and the last day at Beverley, how we managed to get beat, I'll never know. Exalted Angels better over 6. Visor on for the first time. Look out, Louis. We haven't seen him for an awfully long time after running ordinary and group company at Newbury. And then the ones at bigger prices, I just couldn't really see. And I just thought, Tom, that he was very, very solid. Tone the Barone. And like you say, last time out winner, won readily. He's got bags of speed to track the pace through. Hopefully challenge down the middle. And 3.75, I thought, was very, very sensible.
Yeah, he's just so consistent on the all-weather. He's got nearly a 50% strike rate, and I just don't know nothing else except for the John Quinn filly, as you say. She is progressing nicely. She's a bit wider than ideal. Tony Barone was caught wide in this last time, better drawn here, and small stakes. I'm not overly excited, but small stakes. And we're moving on to the Winter Derby. where I am much more excited. I believe the price of this this Lord North. Let me just confirm it. About 1.8 in mind, but let me see. See, when Dan hosts, he has all these lined up because he's just one step ahead of the game. But not me. I like to.
Well, while you're looking, Tom, I don't think Frodon's entered in the Ultimate. So.
Oh, is he not?
No, not according to my racing post here.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
FYI in the chat, I just bring up a comment from Giles earlier who said he hadn't checked the entries. So that's probably where he went wrong.
I'll do it.
The shade, I love it.
He's so he's skipping Cheltenham this year. Fine, right. Lord North 1.8, Forest Dean 6.5, Terradian Sea 8.0, Harrovian 10.0. So and 90.0 and bigger the rest. 2 of his 3 closest market rivals are trained by the same trainer. Lord North is comfortably better, as he proved with Forest Dean last year in this race. Forest Dean has won it before. Lord North was disappointing in this race last year when he was beaten. Apparently, he's more tuned up for it this year. His work's a little bit better ahead of it. I mean, he went on to dead heat in a Group 1 contest out at Meydan. I don't know. He could be 1.6 for me easily. I know odds on shots aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I just don't see how he doesn't win the race. He was beaten by Alan Kerr last year, a subsequent Group 1 winner. I mean, yeah, I thought I wouldn't be interested in the race because I'd flip it open, he'd be about 1.5, but he's definitely bigger than I thought, and I'll be probably putting him in with Scriptwriter in a double. Does anybody want to add anything to this?
You basically covered everything I was going to say personally.
Look at the excitement.
All weather belongs on a Tuesday evening.
Or Friday at Dundalk. We'll give you that.
Giles says, I fear Lord North is deteriorating.
Giles wants to take away from the fact he thought Frodon was entered in the Ultimate, I think. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Racing Post ratings, Giles, he ran to the same level in his in the Coral Eclipse last time in his 4th to Verdani as he did when winning his Group 1. He was very disappointing at Ascot. I'll take that. He was only a length and a half behind Alan Kerr in the Tatzel's Gold Cup. He could be, but he was disappointing in this before winning a Group 1 subsequently. I mean, deteriorating maybe, but he's got to run nigh on a stone below form to get beat here. So I'm surprised he's the price he is. Okay. We'd probably
I'd still be happy to own him.
Huh?
I'd still be happy to own him, mine. Even if he is deteriorating, I'd still be happy to own him.
I'd take it. You'd take it, wouldn't you?
Over hurdles next year.
Imagine being that. So I know the poor people that owned the second to him in the Cambridgeshire. Imagine finish in a handicap. You finish second to Lord North. You'd be like, come on. So there you are. Right. Let's move on. Have we got any other bets? Yes, we do. Charlie, Tingo Dante. Get the pom-poms out. Make the case. Here we go.
Yeah, mate. As in, like I said to you before when we were just talking before we started recording, as in there's been a few of these that I've put up, and it's no good tipping something up that doesn't win on the day, and they haven't, and then they've gone in next time. And Go Dante, I was really keen on it. Utoxeter, I think it was half a mile up in trip. He didn't settle. He didn't jump. Didn't really do a whole heap right, but I mean I think he's come down another £2 or something, 4 or 3 pounds. And I've just got to go in and follow him in again because he definitely got more than enough ability to be taking this sort of race out comfortably. Sean Bowen's up on him as well. And I'm just hoping half a mile down in trip on a big galloping trap like Chepstow will suit him better. He'll find a bit more rhythm with his jumping. And like I say, the engine is there. And maybe he just needed that first run back. He's quite a big gross horse from what I remember of him. And so, like I say, he'll strip a bit fitter. And yeah, come on, Go Dante. Let's get it done this time.
Yeah, there you go. It is, but cheerleading. It'd be like, Go Dante. There you go. I can't believe I did that. Edit that.
No, that's staying in.
That's got to be the best bits, part of the best bits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, why don't you like Dan Overall pulled a face when I
yeah. Why Dan?
Well, last time, to be honest, I was looking desperately to try and take him on with anything in the race, mainly because I did it last time and I backed Giannini and he absolutely hacked up. So it seemed like a good luck charm for me to take on Go Dante. But to be fair, in this instance, I thought it was a really weak race. So you might have your day. But I don't know. He's always short for what he's actually done. Maybe I'm just a cynic. You'll have your day, but it might just be like in a selling hurdle in 2 years' time. I'm not sure. But we'll keep trying.
Matchbook ambassador.
Hang on. Whoa.
Be delighted with that. Also, lovely bit of after timing in there with Giannini. So all in all, I like that. Really good.
He's been at the after timing all day.
Yeah. Okay. Who is your other bet, Dan Overall?
The race afterwards. So once Go Dante's trotted off after being in the winner's enclosure, I like the chance of Valores, who was a pretty smart horse last season and the year before for Simon Munir, Isaac Swade, and Alan King. It sold since. He's now with Venetia, who we know has a terrific record with horses coming to her yard. Obviously, I think here she's got a horse who looks very, very well handicapped if she can get him back. Like he's 15 pounds lower in the weights when he made his chase debut. And when he did that, he was only beaten 3 lengths in an open Newbury handicap, which he went off favourite for. Like he was always holding pretty high regard. Like he was behind the likes of 3 Under Through 5 and Stargate as a novice hurdler, and hopes are high for him over fences, but he just didn't quite progress as expected. But the switch to Venetia Williams, Charlie Deutsch is going over there to ride. I think he's got a reasonable book of rides over at Chepstow. But if he can be back to what he was, and Venetia seems to be so good at doing it, he's so well handicapped, and I imagine he might open a decent prize because he hasn't ran to form in a while.
Dan Hussey, your other bet.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a mention to Spirit of Legend in the 234 Ferry House. This is a horse that ran into a Charles Byrne plot there over Christmas in a handicap hurdle, novice handicap hurdle. I obviously, but that my expression and sound of my voice was on Spirit of Legend there. But next time out, he was brought down at Navan, so I think he's potentially really well in. He'll be up against American Mike. I will caveat by saying he's entered in the Supreme and Ballymore still, but he's also got an entry in the Martin Pipe. So it's probably one more, just no book, see how he gets on. Maybe have a look at the market. If he's been well back for this race, potentially he'll be on a going day to beat American Mike at a decent price, but otherwise could be one for Cheltenham in the Martin Pipe. But thought he was a very interesting horse, and I thought he was even more interesting up against American Mike. But just the fact he's entered in the Martin Pipe, even though he still has the Supreme and Ballymore entries, maybe just a word of caution, but I just thought he'd be worth flagging up as well. Okay,
now best lays. We haven't got any lays as such, but as far as a sort of trading option goes, I thought that Kitty's Light, he'll be ridden cold, and I know that's known, but still you can get horses that are ridden cold just drifting out, particularly if they open up right at the top of the market. That said, if he does jump really well, he probably won't. But I remember even at Sandown, he made a few errors. He can put in the odd scrappy ones. So I do think there's a chance that he will trade bigger in the run, and I'd probably ask for about 6.0. If you wanted to back him, and I couldn't take him at that sort of starting price if he goes off at whatever he is, 4.5 was really short. So I won't lay to back him, but I'll probably try and back him in the run. And then best bets, a reminder of the offer. So it's the Matchbook sign-up offer for new customers only. Double the odds on all of our best bets. So whatever your best bet is, if one of our best bets is win and place, you get double the odds in the win market and the place market as well. Extra winnings up to £50 in cash. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware. You must use the bonus code PODCAST when signing up. All in capitals, podcast, to take advantage of that. And our best bets are as follows. I am with Scriptwriter in that Kempton opener. I've made the case already. And aside from a best bet, I'll probably put him in a double with Lord North as well. I thought they were two pretty good things. Dan, overall, your best bet?
Yeah, I'm going for a big one. It's price related because I just can't believe Kitty's Light taking up that much of the market. But I really like Shanty Alley. I think his price is just way too big, considering the price he was for the Sky Bet Chase, which is a better race than this. You can forgive that run. Made an error early and never got in a rhythm. Go back to earlier runs. He looks like a horse who's really going to relish this test. And at 26.0, I can't see him going off that price. And I just think he's the type who will run really, really well in this.
Okay. And Dan Hussey?
You can tango for Matchbook ambassador Ollie Murphy. I'll caveat by saying I'm looking forward to catching up with him tomorrow and asking him how the horse is, because I did drop him a text before, but so he hasn't come back to me yet. So It's the best way. Isn't it?
Essentially, he's.
I don't know why
Do
we
you
should
want
send
me to
charity.
message him for you, Dan? Do you want me to
Yeah,
message him?
please, mate.
If he comes back to you, he'll be like, he'll go like this. Phone will buzz. He'll be sat there doing nothing, and he'll go.
Yeah, ghosted.
Yeah.
But we will have a catch up. We have a catch up in the diary tomorrow, so that'll be out. It's a 10-minute podcast, which actually have been quite popular in the podcast downloads, particularly as Ollie's week on week seem to be getting more runners. Last week it saw because of the ground. So yeah, you can tango. Good ground. Track should suit.
And Charlie Poste.
Go Dante. Is that what we do? Yeah.
I have to leave it in there, Charlie.
Enthusiasm from you next time. It's not bad.
Yeah.
No, yeah, a bit more enthusiasm. Look, if he wins, I'll do a way more enthusiastic one. Yeah.
Can you do it one more time, please? One more time, Charlie.
Go Dante.
Yes. That's much. it's falling
Can I also just chuck in the fact that Dan Overall said that Charlie Deutsch is going over to ride his any other bet, as if he was like traveling to Ireland or something instead of 25 minutes from his house in Ross-on-Wye to Chepstow.
It's a brutal journey. That 25 minutes, Charlie, it's brutal.
It just cracked me up, that did. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, he's going over for a good book of rides.
You're just mad I slagged off Go Dante.
I am actually, yeah. I'm really pissed off about that, to be fair. Yeah. It was about that. I think the horse cost about, I don't know how, I think he was over about 180 grand as a 3-year-old and unbroken 3-year-old. You said that he might win a selling hurdle in 2 years' time. And I hope the owner and Ollie are not listening to this. Yeah.
Matchbook ambassador.
Exactly. To be fair, he was just too keen last time, so I blame the people that broke him in. That'd be
bloody.
What are you doing up there, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly.
I gave a shout out to the Wolf last week. Came fourth. Similar sort of, like big price. Like I got a few people were up rolling their eyes a bit, and at one stage I thought he was going to win, but he was fourth in the end. So maybe similar today. Ollie Murphy horse again.
Good. Well, I think that all went pretty well in the end. We got through it. Good luck with the edit, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone at home for listening. Dan Overall, Daniel Hussey, Charlie Poste. We will be back next Wednesday for our Cheltenham Anti-Post special, 6 p.m. Is that right?
6 p.m.
Lovely. So tune in for that. Get some questions in, anything you want to know specific. You can be specific races wise. Even if you want to chuck a few handicappers at us early on, you can, even though we've got a handicap one coming up. We'll have a full team for you. Adelmar Rennan is back. Charlie Poste is there. Don McLean, Cheltenham specialist Matt Toombs. I think I've even missed one out.
Matchbooks Mihal DC. He was very busy today. I'm covering him on the pod this week because he was very busy. So he's getting very busy around Cheltenham, you see. Tough man to get a hold of as well.
We were not as tough as Ollie Murphy. We'll see
Everyone's
you
just ignoring you, Dan.